This is your daily briefing and you are most welcome to it. Several concerns ahead of today's clash with Aston Villa. One being that our opponents are in 8th spot and acquitting themselves pretty well so far in their Premier League campaign, whilst Spurs are languishing in 12th. That can all change, of course. It can all change. Villa haven't had it all their own way, and 3 games ago they found themselves on a 3-0 hiding from Chelsea. Sound familiar? That said, in their last 2 outings, the Villains beat Manchester United and Everton. They've scored more goals than us. Who hasn't? Tottenham have lost their last 3 Premier League games by an aggregate score of 9-1. Villa's Danny Ings, who wasn't good enough for Tottenham because we looked down our nose at players like Ings, has scored 6 goals in his last 6 appearances against Spurs in all competitions, including 4 in his last 3 against us. Son Heung-min has been involved in 10 goals in his last 10. Has been involved in 10 goals in his last 11 Premier League outings at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, still no naming rights, 6 goals and 4 assists, and he's also netted 3 of Spurs' 4 league goals this season, including both the ones at home. Historically, the form between these two favours Villa. Historic form, I don't have any much faith and put much weight into it because football is such a movable feast. Looking at who Nuno might pick, and my preferred plausible 11 is coming up now. This isn't, in fact I tell a lie, this isn't the team I'd pick necessarily, but this is what I think that Nuno will come out with. It's a messy exercise, and it is every single week with this guy. One has to work out if the wandering minstrel Dele Alli is going to waste yet more of our time, as Danny Boy desperately seeks to return his market value back to the fantasy number that is irretrievably etched inside his own head. This is why Dele Alli's playing every week, or virtually every game. It's simply an exercise in... It was the instruction, I think it was a massive falling out point between Mourinho and Levy. The fact that, he gave him a go, the boy wasn't capable, and nobody in their right mind is going to play him every week. And whatever number that Levy thinks he's worth, whatever dreamland that he can imagine where Dele Alli's like this kind of Roy the Rovers character, it's never going to transpire, not in a million years. Unless I'm missing something, and I'm sure you'll let me know if I am, then Dele in means Lo Celso out. I don't have a favourite between the two, other than the fact that I kind of favour Lo Celso, but is his heart really in it? Backline will tell us just what the Peri Pulis thinks of Emerson and Romeo. Royale played for just 13 minutes in the Conference League, so ought to be available. And whilst Romero still has to fight his way up the pecking order and out of playing for Spurs in cup games, he's done 85 minutes, and that was in the game where we got thumped by Chelsea 3-0. And his games that he's contributed a little bit more time is smattered across domestic cup and that UEFA conference, whatever it is thing. Romero, it worries me. I'm banging on about it, and people say, "Oh, you haven't given him time. You've written him off." I haven't written anybody off. I'm just telling you facts. He was the most expensive player we bought in the summer on paper, and we're not getting anything out of him. This business of being the Serie A number 1 defender, fantastic. Put that in your trophy cabinet. But we spent a lot of money on this guy, and what are we seeing in return? Small shout out to my mate Martin King, Villa fan. I've got a number of Villa fans these days, and they're all actually decent types. Spoke to him, messaged last night, and he said to me that ordinarily Spurs away he'd be pooping himself a little bit, but as we've suggested on here, I wouldn't say he's quietly confident, but he doesn't think the door is closed and think that Villa might be able to do something, might be able to get something. And that's where we are. Wouldn't you feel like that if you were going to play a team that used to be good, but that now is churning out relegation form? Right, so that's it. If I can get this up, God willing, before the team's announced and all the rest of it, all the better. Will I be back later? Who would vote for that? Possibly, if something, I know I always say this, and it's perhaps a repetition has killed it, but if something seismic happens, but the problem is we don't get any good numbers until the morning. Although this might be here by 10 o'clock or something tonight if I'm still about ghosting around. But, it's going to go one way or the other, and I am not looking forward to Nuno, even though I'm sure he's feeling a lot more relaxed about not being sworn at this time round. Of course, unless anybody loses their head in the press room. Until we speak again, good luck, keep it Tottenham.